And we are back with some more Washington Capitals franchise mode in FHM 10. And in this one, we are going to get year number 1 underway. But first and foremost, there are some players who we have to trade away. That including Sandin, Jensen, Milano, Wilson, and Triniev. Now, of these 5, Jensen's the one I'm least concerned about trading because he doesn't have that personality that he won't be well liked. Unlike Sandin, Milano, Wilson, and Triniev, all 4 of those guys have it. We absolutely cannot have anything like that on this team. I'm telling you, I've seen this before where team harmony will just get absolutely out of control if you have even one player with that personality trait on your roster. And we got 4 of them, so I'm not messing around here. All 4 of them gotta go before the season starts. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna shop Triniev to see if we can get a pick back for him. I think that's what I'm going to go for all these players, honestly. So it's looking like we're going to get a 4th back for Triniev if we do that alone. Like, let's say if I paired him with Wilson or Milano, then I might be able to get a little bit more out of both of them. So let's look for a team that wants wingers. I mean, let's see how far we can take this. I'm not expecting a first out of this, but if I could get a second, that'd be well-balanced offer. Okay, so not quite. It doesn't look like I'll be able to get a second. What about a third? All right, so I added Clay Stevenson, the 24-year-old goaltender, half-star ability, 1.5-star potential. Don't think he's going to be much. And I managed to sneak in a 3rd-round pick on there. And once again, I know Sandin's a young guy, got some potential. Could very easily have been a solid mainstay as part of our top 4 defensive core, but I really do not like that personality. And at this point, you know, a 3rd-round pick, I can't imagine that'd be too bad, especially in this upcoming draft, right? Usually the first few years of an FHM draft are very good. So yeah, I think we're gonna offer this trade and see what they say. So that's Triniev and Sandin out of the way, or should be anyway. So we still have Jensen, Milano, and Wilson. All right, so we have 3 trades lined up for most of the players on our trade block. I did not manage to find a trade for Jensen. His contract is not good, so I think we might be stuck with him, unfortunately, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So here's our first trade. Quite a few assets on this trade, I know, but none of them are really assets that I saw myself using in the future anyway. And we know the situation with Triniev and Sandin not having the greatest personalities, in fact, having red flag personalities, with the fact that they both won't be well liked in the locker room. And then you have Martin Haas, who is a half-star ability, 2-star potential according to consensus. We only even have a scouting assessment on him. He's 22, so I figured he's probably not going to have too much more development in him. His best development years are mostly behind him at this point. Tobias Geyser, who is 24 years of age, basically the same situation. 1-star ability, 1.5-star potential. Can't see him being a part of our main roster. So all this, Triniev, Sandin, and the rights to Haas and Geyser going to Chicago in exchange for a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but remember, this year's draft is going to be pretty deep, as we see. I mean, obviously, most of these players are still at E-scouting grade, but generally speaking, the first few years for the draft in FHM are very, very good because it's all real players. So the fact that we're getting rid of 2 problematic personalities in addition to 2 players who I know I'm probably not going to end up using, but obviously they're willing to take them on and they're willing to give us a 3rd-round pick for them. So complete trade. There it is. Second trade to Seattle will be Sonny Milano, Clay Stevenson, and the rights to Henrik Borgstrom. So Borgstrom is 25, 1.5-star talent, 2-star potential. Then you have Clay Stevenson, who's 24, a half-star ability, 1.5-star potential as a goaltender. And then Sonny Milano, we know the situation with his personality. In exchange from Seattle, we'll be getting the 22-year-old winger, Ty Kartai. He's a 1.5-star ability, 2.5-star potential. Got some pretty well-rounded ratings. But what I really like about him is his personality. He adjusts to a new environment quickly. The bigger the game, the better he performs, meaning he's going to be a big playoff performer if that's indicative of anything, and he could be counted on to avoid dwelling on his failures. So nothing but positive personality attributes there, and I look forward to seeing what he can do in a Washington Capitals uniform. There it is. And the last trade, Tom Wilson at 50% of his salary retained, and the rights to Oscar Magnuson and Chase Clark in exchange for the 20-year-old winger A2 Liukas. Now, he is a 1-star ability, 2.5-star potential, 20 years of age. The thing about Liukas is that he has a similar mold to Tom Wilson, as we see by a lot of his ratings. I mean, aggression is up there, hitting is up there, bravery is at 15, And when you compare that to Wilson, I mean, he's got a lot of the same general makeup. I'm not saying that he's as good as Wilson or ever will be as good as Wilson, but just the fact that, you know, Wilson has that personality issue, we got to get him out of here. And as for Liukas' personality, he just tends to stay out of trouble off the ice. That's good enough for me. You know, nothing fantastic, but also nothing bad either. And then the other guys going the other way, you have Oscar Magnuson, the half-star ability, 1.5-star potential, 21 years of age. Can't see him really doing much. And then the 21-year-old goaltender, Chase Clark, half-star ability, 2-star potential. I am a little hesitant about giving him up, but just the fact that he's already 21 and he's only a half-star ability according to consensus, I don't think it's going to work out for him, unfortunately. So here's the thing. I actually had to renegotiate this trade, and for some reason, the complete trade and reject trade buttons are not available. Just discuss trade again. So what I'm going to have to do here is just force this trade through, since it was, they did accept it. So, you know, it's not like I am cheating here or anything. It's just the system being a little wacky. So forced trade, there it is. So there it is. Your newest Washington Capitals, A2 Liukas and Ty Kartai, are now on the roster. We did ship out quite a bit, including Milano, Triniev, Sandin, Wilson. But you know what? We had to trade all of them before the season started. I was not going to have those team harmony issues with all of them having that personality trait. And as we see here, it already had some issues. So we may have had to give up a couple of young players there, but I'm glad we got it out of the way early. And now we can focus on starting to build the roster that we want for the future. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to send down Liukas and Kartai because they're not actually ready for the NHL yet. Yeah, as we see by the current level, at least Liukas is not ready. Apparently, according to this, Kartai is ready. So maybe we'll see what he's about at the NHL level, but definitely not Liukas. So we're going to send him down to the AHL. And I'm going to need some extra depth players here. So I'll call up a defenseman and a forward, maybe actually 2 forwards. I'm thinking that's going to be Dubé. Well, I'll probably call up some more players when the preseason starts, just so I can get a read on everybody here, like all of our depth players, including like Scarbosa, Obe Kubel, Frank, all these guys. I'm going to get a good look at them in the preseason to know how they simulate, to see if I can rely on them as backup players. So that being said, I think we're all done here in the off season. Now remember, there is the Patrick Kane situation. He's still unsigned in free agency, but again, I want to make sure I give the computers an opportunity to sign him before I even think about approaching him. So we are going to simulate up to our first preseason game. I think I'm going to reject this for now, just because I don't know how Larson simulates. I don't even know how Jensen simulates yet. And it's not like we're in a rush to unload Jensen's salary right now either. And actually might be a good thing to hold on to his salary, especially considering the unknown future of players like Mantha, Kuznetsov as well, right? Like he might end up being on his way out as well during the trade deadline or the draft. So holding on to Jensen's salary actually might be a good thing in this situation. So here we are at the end of the preseason. It did not go too great. We only won 2 games, one against Detroit and the other against Buffalo. And now that we are close to the regular season, let's check out the Patrick Kane situation. Yeah, Patrick Kane has just signed actually with the Pittsburgh Penguins on the 3rd. So that was literally just 3 days ago. Bit unfortunate, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. You know, we can sort of tell what direction this team is going in right away, as we see by not only the preseason performances, but also the performances of most of the guys on the roster during the preseason, and just the general age of our team should be the primary indicators of where this team is headed. So with that, this is our starting roster going into year number 1. You have Darcy Kemper and Mitchell Gibson in goal. Mitchell very much impressed during the 3 games that he played during the preseason, letting up only 6 goals in 3 games played, and in each game faced at least 40 shots against. Had a 952, 957, and 950 save percentage in each of the games that he played. So that earned him a spot on the roster over Charlie Lindgren, who is in the minors for right now. So he should end up being a pretty serviceable backup if his stats during the preseason are any indication, or potentially even our starter. Who knows? On defense, you have John Carlson, 4-star ability, then drops down to the 2-star ability, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Nick Jensen, Lucas Johansson, Martin Verhervery, Alexander Alexiev, and Chase Prisky. Yeah, it's a rough defensive core, man. That's a rough defensive core for the most part. And at forward, you have Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Dylan Strome, Anthony Mantha, Nicholas Backstrom, Nick Dowd, TJ Oshie, Matthew Phillips, Alexei Protas, Ty Kartai ended up making the roster, 2-star ability now, Michael Scarbosa, Connor McMichael, Hendrix Lapierre, who for some reason lost his 5-star ability or 5-star potential and has now dropped down to a 3.5-star potential. So that was certainly a very quick drop off. And then you also have Pierre Dubé. So with that, I think we can get year number 1 underway. Oh boy, first major injury of the year, Pierre Dubé, 3 to 4 month injury. That is unfortunate for the young man. And we are currently on November 1st. We are 3-5. I gotta say, it's not looking great considering some of our defensive performances here. I mean, our wins have been fine, but the games that we lose big time. 8-5 loss against Calgary, 8-5 loss against Montreal, 6-2 loss against Toronto, 9-5 loss against New Jersey, and a 5-2 loss against San Jose. That's this is playoffs are going to be a stretch. They are going to be a massive stretch, if at all possible, and I can't see it. I really cannot see it with how that month went. I mean, I guess we'll go one more month just to see if that was a fluke or not, but I don't have a good feeling about this. So I was just looking at the team stats. We're actually first in goals for per game in the league with a 4.13, but we are also by far, and like it's not even close, the worst team in the league when it comes to goals against. 5.63 compared to Anaheim, who is second to last with a 4.11. Yeah, this is not a good defensive team whatsoever, at least it appears right now. Power play's at 20%. Penalty kill is at, I would imagine down there, yeah, 70%. So we'll see what happens in the month of November, but we're going to need to tighten up a lot if we want any chance to make the playoffs here. Oh boy, here we go. First media criticism of the year, Evgeny Kuznetsov. Let's see, they were critical of his play against Anaheim. What did he do? What was his grade looking like? 49 offense. I mean, he was good defensively, but yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing performance from him. So yeah, there's room for improvement there for sure. So we're on December 1st. We are 9-10-1. A lot better than I thought we would be for sure. I mean, we had some pretty good wins in there, but we also had some pretty nasty losses. So as expected for this team. Let's take a look at the team stats and see if we've improved at all with the goals against per game. We're still at 4 goals for per game, and goals against per game has, I mean, it was expected that it would go down at least a little bit. I would have a hard time believing that it could get even higher than what it was. We're at a 4.6 now for goals against per game. That's still absolutely terrible, but you know, it's better. Let's check out the stats, and we will start with goaltenders. Kemper with an 86 save percentage in 16 games played, and unfortunately Mitchell Gibson's performance in the preseason did not carry over, it seems, to the regular season. 850 save percentage in 7 games for him. And defenseman, 17 points for Carlson, 16 for Hervery, 12 for Prisky, 7 for Alexiev, 6 for Van Riemsdyk and Johansson, and then Jensen with 3 in 6 games played. And at forward, you have Ovi with 28 points, 18 goals so far on the season, almost a goal per game. And then Dylan Strome with 20 points. Unfortunately, he suffered a major injury. He's down for 3 to 4 months. So he is the newest player on the injury reserve list, alongside of Edmondson, Pacioretty, and Dowd. Then you have Mantha with 19 points, Oshie with 16, 14 for Kuznetsov, 13 for Phillips, 11 for Protas, 8 for Kartai, only 7 for Backstrom. McMichael with 6, 6 for Lapierre as well, Scarbosa and Dowd with 3, and then 2 for Dubé in 7 games, and then Aubin Kubel filling in there for 2 games. So overall, I would say this is going about as expected so far. You know, we have some games where we're scoring a lot, and then we have about as many games that we are getting scored on just as much. So honestly, I'm not sure how we're 5th. I'll put it that way. There have been some really ugly performances in there, so we'll see what happens in this next month here, heading up to January, because I'll tell you guys where I'm at right now. I want to try to give Ovi one more chance at the cup, but I just, with the way this team is, I'm not going to go out of my way to make any moves that would increase our chances of winning the cup or even making the playoffs for that matter. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to keep this team together until the trade deadline. We'll see where we're at then. And assuming that we're still not in a good position at that point, that's when we'll start trading players away, because we really cannot afford to have that kind of value that all these players have go to waste with where this team is at right now, because we may be looking at the start of a rebuild here in Washington. That's what I'm thinking, especially considering our best player right now is still the 38-year-old Ovechkin, and once he retires, like, that's it. You know, there's not many other players on this team who are going to be able to carry us like he does. So yeah, I think that's what we have to do here. Oh right, Kuznetsov got injured as well, only for a couple of weeks, but still, yeah, that's rough. And then save for Strome. I mean, we're already very short-handed when it comes to talent on this team now, and losing those 2 guys, Yeah, that's it's not looking good. Yeah, I don't think I don't think this team's doing it. We even with Kuznetsov back now, we're 10-18 and 2. This is one of the worst teams in the league at the moment. We're 30th in the league. I don't think we're going anywhere this year. So I'll simulate up to the first, and then I think we're gonna have to start making our trade deadline plans. Yeah, this is not a good team. Not at all. So I'm sorry, Ovi. I wanted to give you another chance at the cup here, but I don't think that's happening. Not the way things are shaking up right now. So what I'm gonna do, Mantha, trade block. I'm gonna try trading Oshie. I don't think I'm gonna get anything back for Oshie just given his age, but I'll put him up there anyway. Kuznetsov. I mean, listen, I hate trading a guy like Kuznetsov, but we need to get some young assets in return, and Kuznetsov's one of our best players right now who isn't named Ovechkin. Obviously, I'm not trading Ovechkin. I'm not trading Backstrom, but those are basically the only guys who I'm not going to trade. Everybody else is on the table. I'll put Dowd on the trade block. He would be a pretty good veteran to pick up for any team looking for some defensive depth. I mean, his contract quality is great as well, so he's definitely going to be a prime target, I would imagine, for teams going into the trade deadline. Max Pacioretty, we may as well just put him on the trade block, see if we can get something for him. Again, probably not much, but you never know. Maybe we'll get a fourth or a fifth back for him. At this point, I can't see Harvey or Alexiev really progressing too much, so I'm tempted to put them on the trade block as well. Trade everybody basically. Yeah, this team is in desperate need of a complete overhaul. All right, so I found a funny little bug here. Apparently, your own team can show up on the page that has teams with potential interest in your trading block players. It says, under Anthony Mantha and TJ Oshie, the Washington Capitals are interested in acquiring his services. Which, I mean, we kind of have him already. We have both of these guys already, so that must be a little bit of a oversight there. It seems Montreal would be a good destination for both Mantha and Oshie, and in fact, they have exactly the same list. Yep, both of them have exactly the same trade block list here. So Montreal, Chicago, the Rangers, Philly, Calgary, the Islanders, Edmonton, San Jose, Nashville, and Vegas. All right, so we finally got Edmondson back from his injury. So the only players left on the injury list are Strome and Dubé. But regardless, we do have our first trade of the season here involving Anthony Mantha, 7th round pick for 2026, and the rights to Hakon Henelt. That will all be going to Philadelphia in exchange for Mark Stahl and a first round draft pick, which is top 10 protected during the 2024 NHL entry draft. So I think we're getting a pretty solid deal here in exchange for Anthony Mantha. He's almost a point per game player as of right now, but given the fact that he's on a 1-year deal, he's 29, and given the fact that, we're not a very good team, I think it is a good time to move on from Anthony Mantha and take advantage of his trade value while we can. Complete trade, there it is. Mark Stahl has a pretty good defensive grade. I didn't even realize that. He's got an 81 defensive grade, although I can't imagine that's going to stick around for too long. Not on this team anyway. So who am I going to send down here? I mean, it'll probably just be Stahl. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Stahl. He's 36 years of age. He's not going to be sticking around past this year anyway. And then I'll call up a forward. It may as well be Hoffer. See what he can do. And I do want to make more trades, but I think I'm going to wait until a little bit later because the one I want to make involves Kuznetsov, and I do want a draft pick back for him, but I want to know for sure, or at least I want to have a better idea of what the league standings are going to look like. All right, so we're on February 1st, so here's our monthly update. We are currently 18, 26, and 3, 30th in the league. Pretty clear at this point that we are not going anywhere, at least not for this season. We're minus 46 on the season, by far the worst in the Metropolitan Division. We're currently 8th in goals for per game at a 3.26, so that's dipped quite a bit ever since the start of the season. And of course, goals against per game, we're still the worst in the league with a 4.28. Power play 16th with a 19.6, and the penalty kill actually, wow, okay, I was not expecting that. Penalty kill 83.1. That's much better than I was expecting considering the state of our defense and goaltending in general. So that was a lot worse at the start of the season. That was a 70%. I think we're just going to keep going here for a little bit. We're about a month away from the trade deadline on March 3rd. So I think around the 25th is when I'm going to start making trade offers for the rest of these guys on the trade block. I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything for Jensen and Van Riemsdyk. I tried earlier. Their value is next to nothing. Like, I would have to give up more to get them off the roster than what I would be getting back. Like I couldn't even get a 7th round pick for Jensen earlier, so I doubt that's happening. Probably the same for TVR. Might be able to get something for Pacioretty now that he's back up to a 3-star. I tried with Oshie as well. His value was not great. I think I might be able to get like a 6 back for him. Dowd, I think I want to package with a Kuznetsov trade because he actually has some pretty good value there, especially with his contract, given that he's a 33-year-old 3-star ability and his contract's only at 1.3 for the next 2 years. So that's like perfect for a contending team. So yeah, I'm definitely going to want to include him on any Kuznetsov deal. With all that being said, I think we're in advance to the end of February here. All right, so we got Dubé back on the roster after a pretty extensive injury. Oh geez, Pacioretty. Of course, Pacioretty had to go and get injured indefinite. Of course. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Can't trade him now. Man, Pacioretty plays 11 games and then he gets re-injured indefinitely again. Certainly seems like Pacioretty probably going to retire at some point soon. Just based off those 2 indefinite injuries he's had over the past year. I mean, there's no way that Pacioretty gets anything now, considering the length of his injury and how old he is. And yeah, that's not happening. Like, teams would rather wait until July 1st to acquire his services, right? Because they know at this point that he's not going to be able to play for the rest of the year. And he's going to be a free agent on July 1st anyway. And I don't think I'm going to renew him. So yeah, yeah, we may as well just take him off the trade block. Oh, that sucks. Could have gotten something back for him. So Nick Jensen, like I said, doubt I'm going to get anything back for him. I already tried earlier. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, same thing. So it really just comes down to Kuznetsov and Dowd. Kuznetsov only has 32 points this year. What about everybody else? I may as well just check everybody else's stats while I'm at it. 60 points for Ovi, 48 for Carlson, 42 for Phillips, 39 for Oshie. Yeah, see, like, Oshie has 39 points. He's 4th on the team in the scoring, and he's still barely fetching anything. Like, it may as well just hold on to him for now and see if he's of use to us next year with all the rookies coming in, potentially. Then you have Kuznetsov with 32, Protas with 29, Backstrom with 26, 21 for Alexiev, for Hervery, and Kartai. Strome with 20 in 19 games. Of course, he's been out for a while. TVR with 18, 16 for Prisky, Jensen, and LaPierre. So LaPierre has been struggling, it looks like, a little bit. Yeah, he's not had a good rookie season here so far. Connor McMichael only with 14, Johansson with 13. Yeah, this team needs a rebuild. This team needs a rebuild in the worst way. Frank with 12, Dowd with 12, 9 for Stahl, 6 for Scarbosa and Pacioretty, Edmondson and Dubé with 4, Obe Kubel with 1, and then Hoffer in 13 games played with nothing. Oh man, not looking good so far for him. Let's see, in goal, 895 for Kemper in 46 games played, and an 882 for Gibson in 17. Oh boy. I'm sorry, Obi. I don't think that cup is happening, man. I don't think that cup is happening before you retire. It's unfortunate. With the way this team is, it's just not happening. There's not enough depth. We're too old. Not enough prospects. It's just not a good situation all around. I would have to include a 3rd as well. I'm not keen on that. Not for this year anyway, because of how deep this upcoming draft is going to be. I might be better off just getting prospects for them rather than a pick. Because what I notice is the computers in FHM tend to overvalue draft picks quite a bit. I don't know if they changed that in FHM 10, but that's what I've noticed in past FHMs is that draft picks will be significantly higher in value than they should be. And I don't have to trade Kuznetsov now. Yeah, I don't have to trade Dowd now either. I can wait on this trade till the draft if I have to. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait till the draft actually, because if I'm not getting the value that I want back, then yeah, I'm going to wait till the draft to make this trade. I mean, really, the only one I had to trade right now was Mantha, and we already traded him. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for the trade deadline. I know we weren't very active during the trade deadline, but it's certainly a lot to consider. Yeah, Kuznetsov and Dowd, I think I'm going to save for the draft there. And Oshie, if I can manage to trade him there too. So that, I think that is the end of the trade deadline, and we'll just advance to the end of the regular season here. Ooh, we got an offer for Jensen from Montreal. Jan Misek, 21 years of age, 2.5-star potential. He's already a 1.5-star ability. He has some issues handling criticism, but that's the only thing that's too concerning about him. Stats aren't great, but I mean, this is a way to unload a pretty hefty contract considering his cap hit and the amount of years left. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good deal. The only thing that confuses me is Montreal Why? They're 15, 33, and 10, and they're offering for a 33-year-old defenseman in Jensen and offering a 21-year-old center in Misek. What are they doing? Does Montreal know what they're doing over there? Yeah, I'm not sure how this makes sense for Montreal. I don't know why they're doing this. I mean, they're the ones that offered it to me, so I wouldn't be opposed to accepting this trade, but I'm just wondering how Montreal benefits from this. Actually, let me just see. Is Misek the center of Team Harmony issue or something? No. Oh, he's not even in the AHL. He's in the ECHL. So no, of course he wouldn't be part of a Team Harmony issue. Not for the NHL roster, at least. I mean, again, I'm not opposed to this trade. I'm just like, I'm wondering what Kent Hughes is thinking here. Like, what's his angle on this? This seems like a win for me and a loss for him. What's Montreal's defensive core looking like? I mean, yeah, their defensive core isn't great, but you know, it's nothing that Jensen's going to improve on too much. So whatever. They were the ones who offered. Complete trade. So there you go. Jan Misek, now a member of the Washington Capitals, and Nick Jensen sent to Montreal. And with that, I think I'll call up Chase Prisky to replace him. He's actually second on our depth chart for some reason, although I guess that's not a hard thing to do on this roster. So there you go. We make an unexpected trade with the Montreal Canadiens. Now I'm wondering, yeah, Misek isn't ready for this level, and he's 21, so I think I would rather just send him to the AHL for now, get him some seasoning, maybe call him up next year. So we got a trade offer for Nick Dowd, 31-year-old defenseman Jacob Magnet. No, what the? No. Oh, we have another trade proposal from Montreal. They want to give us Nathan Lagar for Nick Dowd. Honestly, I would rather include Dowd in a package deal with Kuznetsov if possible, because Dowd has some really good value, and I think that would really help in a Kuznetsov deal. So I'm going to say no to this. Oh, we have an offer for TVR from Toronto. They want to give us William Villeneuve. Personality is all right. Stats are nothing impressive, but I guess it's better than holding on to TVR's contract. I could always just call up someone from the AHL to fill in for him. And considering Villeneuve is 21, I mean, I don't see how we don't benefit from this in some way. I mean, we're getting a potential NHL defenseman for the future. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's going to be ready in the next year, but I would say it's better than nothing. And it's not like we're going to be below the cap floor here after we do this. Would it be possible to get a draft pick out of them? That's what I'm wondering. Maybe a third? Nope. Okay. I figured. A fourth? Nope. Fifth? Hardly likely. A sixth? Hardly likely. Okay. So the prospect is definitely the better option here. So I'll add Villeneuve back to the trade. What are you talking about? You just offered this. You literally just offered this, and now you're saying it's not interesting, no basis for negotiations. What in the world? That literally doesn't even make sense. I'm forcing that trade. that does not make sense. I'm sorry. Listen, I was just trying to see what else I could get. Okay, I wanted to see if I could get a draft pick. Just because I removed him for the trade doesn't mean I'm not interested in him. I just wanted to see what else I could get. And then all of a sudden, Toronto's like, nope, this is absolutely no basis for negotiations. He is untouchable. So William Villeneuve, welcome to the Washington Capitals. He's not ready for this level, actually. So I'll send him down. Then Montreal wants Dowd in exchange for Davidson. Nah, again, I'm going to hold off. I mean, I can tell Montreal really wants Dowd, but I really want to try to include Dowd in any kind of trade that I make for Kuznetsov. All right, so we're at the end of the regular season of year number 1. We finished 36-42 and 4 last in the Metropolitan Division. And where are we in the league? We are 26th in the league and a team plus minus of -52. So not looking pretty there. Let's see the team stats. Goals for per game. We are 8th in the league with a 3.29, and goals against per game, we are last in the league with a 3.95. Power play, we're 16th in the league with a 19.2, and the penalty kill, we're actually first in the league with an 85.1. Actually, let me see this. Short-handed chances. Really? We have the least amount of penalties. Okay, so I thought for sure we would be taking more penalties, especially with how bad we were playing sometimes. And we had 14 short-handed goals for. So, I mean, there's no doubting the offensive skill of this team for sure, but the defense certainly leaves a lot to be desired besides the penalty kill for some reason. And now let's check out the player stats. Starting out in goal, you got a .904 save percentage for Kemper, and then an .875 for Gibson in 24 games played. On defense, you have Carlson with 61 points in 77 games played, a 35-point season for Prisky in 53 games played, so maybe he's worth another look next season. Alexiev with 27 points for Hervey with 27 points, 18 for Johansson and Edmondson, and then 9 for Stahl 4 for Haman Akhtel. And at forward, you have 41 goals and 84 points for Ovi, 65 points for Matthew Phillips. And this was his first full NHL season, I believe. So he might, is he in the running for the Calder, I wonder? Even though he's 26, he might be. And then you have Oshie with the 62-point performance, Kuznetsov with 46, Protus with 39, 33 for Kartai, and Backstrom, 29 for Strome, 23 for McMichael, 22 for LaPierre, 21 for Frank, 13 for Dowd, 12 for Dubé, 11 for Scarbosa, 6 for Pacioretty, 5 for Hoffer, and 1 for Obed Kubel. For the Calder, oh, Matthew, yep, there it is. Matthew Phillips has indeed qualified for the Calder Trophy at 26 years of age. Interesting. Then you got Devon Levi and, of course, Connor Bedard. I can't imagine that Phillips takes it from Bedard there. 77 points in 77 games played for him. The Mark Messier Leadership Award, you have, oh, wow. You have Ovi, Marchand, and Carlson. So 2 of the 3 nominees are from your Washington Capitals somehow. So I think with that being said, one thing's off here. And the next one, we will get into the offseason of your number 1 with your Washington Capitals. See you guys then.